Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another little unboxing video, and this time it's the Byron Band. David Byron and also Robin George, 3 CD set from H&E Records, part of the Cherry Red group. So let's have a look inside the set. This is the Byron Band featuring David Byron and Robin George, On the Rocks Again. This is a 3 CD set from H&E Records, part of Cherry Red. It contains On the Rocks from 1981, and then it has the writing demos from 1982, and rehearsals and live material from 1980 to 1981, plus a live gig in Liverpool from 1980. So as you fold it out, you've got some memorabilia on the inside panels, and that folds out into a 3 CD set, which we're used to seeing from H&E. Very well done it is. A nice booklet with a picture of the band on the back, and again that's the original record cover, and on here we have the original artwork as well, and text from that. The artwork itself, I remember this coming out and thinking, I'm not quite sure whether they could have found a different artist. It's interesting, isn't it? But there you have it. And you've got the full story, a biography of Uriah Heep, with David's struggles and what was going on in his life, which is really well put together. And then got a very young looking Robin George there with David, and there's some more pictures from the original cover. A photograph of David, again, nice essay, some nice studio shots here, quite small but it's good to have them. Very well put together by Richard Davenport in 2024, and it says special thanks to Robin George, who was involved in pulling this together and doing some of the notes. And of course, at the time of me doing this, Robin George has sadly passed away, and of course David Byron did in the 80s. So this is a kind of memorial to both of those guys, really. I always thought On the Rocks was a great album, but I'll talk about it more when I do my summary at the end. But it's wonderful to have all this together, and it's great to have something by David Byron and Robin George put out at last, because a lot of this stuff was so hard to find. So the Byron Band featuring David Byron and Robin George. And now I'll tell you what I think of the release. So that's the Byron Band, On the Rocks Again, with Robin George. I always liked this album. When it came out, it got a bit of flack from some of my friends because of the artwork. As you saw when I went through the unboxing there, some of the pictures that were used to promote this, it really kind of looked, it didn't really fit in with what was going on around with other album artwork and other rock bands and how they were dressing and looking at this time. It just looked a bit of a piss take, really. It wasn't. And the opening track, Rebecca, is one of the best things I think in this set. Absolutely loved it. So what's it like? So some of you are going to have this. So what have we got here? Because I know that some of you just want the facts. I think the first disc 1 is the album itself, which sounds fantastic. And then you've got lots of bonus tracks, and they all sound good as well. Great production. Robin George is a great producer, great songwriter, and also, sadly, no longer with us. I was lucky to talk to Robin just a couple of years ago. Great guy, and please watch that interview, if you can. So, that CD1 is On the Rocks from 1981. Bonus tracks, some great stuff. And then we get to CD 2, which isn't that long, but you've got writing demos in London, and then writing at David's house as well. Now, the writing demos with Robin in the studio, they are really, really good. Some great tracks here that aren't on the other disc, and they sound great. But what I really found fascinating, and these are equally good, but obviously they're demos recorded at David's house in Sonning in 1982. So they're working on different things. Is you hear David talk. You hear David talking to Robin George about, I'll come in after this, give me 4 bars and I'll come in and do this. I found that fascinating to hear David like that. I'm a huge David Byron fan and Uriah Heep fan. So to hear this side of him, because he sounds really coherent, because this is his image, isn't there, that he left Uriah Heep because of the drug and alcohol problems, and it was all downhill. But it wasn't all downhill. This is a really classy album. His performances are really good. The rehearsal stuff on CD3 sounds like rehearsal stuff, but again, there's nothing wrong with it. The performances are good. So I'll end on Live in Liverpool in 1980, which is before the album comes out. His vocals here are great. It's a good live recording. He sounds in good voice. He sounds good in himself. And July Morning. I can't say that the band aren't Uriah Heep, but the way that starts when he said, "Here's something from my past," and he bursts into July Morning, and the way it starts, his vocals, the way he does all the high parts and everything on Live 1973, he does that perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And for Uriah Heep fans, it's worth buying it for Live in Liverpool in 1980. Because around this time, when all is happening, Mick Box approached David about rejoining Uriah Heep. But obviously he turned them down because he was getting excited about his new band. And he actually said to Mick Box, "You should join my new band." Because remember, around 1980, Uriah Heep were sunk before they reinvented themselves. However, I mean, can you imagine what the Byron band would have been like with Mick Box on guitar? But this period in David Byron's life to re-establish himself did not last or go that well. And his contract with Creole Records, because that's who released this, had expired. And so he needed to get new interest and to relaunch himself. And with a view to securing a new record deal and make TV appearances, and to show that he was out of this bad patch of drinking and all his bad image, he decided to take the stage and do a showcase gig. But as Robin George explains in the booklet, David was very good at secret drinking. So nobody really knew. No one knew he was drinking. And so the marquee, because that's where the showcase gig was being done, was packed. And the band were playing July Morning. And there's a very high C note, which on the live disc he hits. David hit that note in this particular occasion and collapsed and went into an epileptic fit. And there were two nurses in the front row, and they were shouting, "Get something in his mouth to stop him biting his tongue." And all Robin had was a guitar strap, which is what he put in David's mouth. And they had to wait there until the ambulance came. And despite this harrowing incident, Byron managed to make a grand exit from the venue in typical flamboyant style. And the crowd was shouting, "We love you, David." But after he got home, he had another fit, and it was all over. And all the record companies, all the agents and everybody, they wouldn't want to book the band after that. And they tried again to stop David from drinking, which they managed to do. But with some extra demos and stuff done, David was still very excited about doing stuff. But it all came to an end as Robin George's career started to take off. And that's how it all came to a crashing end. Which is really sad, even after all these years, as everyone knows that happened. He was only in his mid-30s when he died. And I think when you're my age now, in my mid-60s, being 35 seems like being a kid. To the fact that he lost his life through that. I think musicians have probably more support now than they did back then. But the damage was done, wasn't it? But I don't know, end on that note, really. I want to say thank you to H&E Records for having the faith that there will be fans out there that want to hear this stuff. And also, respectfully, thinking of Robin George, who was heavily involved in this as he started to get his own career off the ground. But On the Rocks is a great rock album. It's not heavy metal. It's a rock album. It's got blues. It's got, there's horn sections on there. It's David stretching out, wanting to be different to Uriah Heep and wanted to show the different sides of his musical personality while still being a rock and roll star. Robin George is great. The songs were good. It's intimate hearing the demo stuff at David's house. The other writing demos are really good. The rehearsals give you a little bit of backdrop before you hear the live concert from Liverpool in 1980. And that shows you what could have been. So that is the Byron Band featuring David Byron and Robin George. Out now, 3 CD set, H&E Records from Cherry Red. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, thank you for all of your support and buying t-shirts and supporting me as a patron or YouTube member. Check out the Facebook group, check out the podcast and the Now Spinning website at nowspinning.co.uk. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.